Vaclav Smil, Should We Eat Meat? Evolution and Consequences of Modern Carnivory. Dive into the world of meat consumption and its consequences with Vaclav Smil's book, Should We Eat Meat? Evolution and Consequences of Modern Carnivory. Explore the role meat has played in human evolution, its significance in our diets, and the impact of modern meat production on the environment. The book also delves into alternative protein sources and the possibility of a more rational approach to meat production. By understanding the pros and cons of our dietary choices, we can make well-informed decisions about what we eat and how those choices affect the world around us.
The pros and cons of including meat in your diet. As humans evolved to eat other animals, meat is an excellent source of both macro and micronutrients, and proteins in particular. It is essential for young children as it serves a crucial function in brain growth and is also a superb source of iron. However, meat production has a negative impact on the environment, and the agricultural processes tied to meat production use a lot of energy and incur a variety of other costs. The role of meat in human evolution. Meat consumption played a significant role in human evolution, contributing to the development of our brains and socialization. Meat was seen as a symbol of status and privilege, leading to its prominent place in religious ceremonies and language. While historical meat consumption has fluctuated, vegetarian societies are rare, as humans have relied on the protein and iron found in meat. The practice of hunting for meat in groups helped humans develop language, socialize, and engage in strategic thinking. As society has developed, so have our practices for keeping and consuming domestic animals. Evolution of meat consumption. Meat consumption surged due to advancements in transportation and agriculture in the 19th and 20th centuries. Global trade, refrigerated transportation, and artificial fertilizers increased meat production, while the decline of animal labor and the rise of women in the workforce changed the consumption landscape. As a result, meat consumption reached unprecedented heights and became a staple in many households. The dark side of meat production. Domesticated meat production has drastically shifted from traditional farming methods to a systematic industrialized chain of production. This method includes breeding, raising, slaughtering, processing, and distribution, with billions of animals killed each year. Unfortunately, this massive production comes with significant environmental consequences. In the past, when meat consumption was low, traditional animal husbandry practices didn't have severe environmental impacts. Today, the industrialized system has led to pollution and other environmental issues. Additionally, animal welfare concerns have emerged as unskilled workers often handle these animals, leading to abusive treatment. In the next 3 parts of the book, this summary delves deeper into the successes and shortcomings of the current industrial meat production system. The unseen dangers of CAFO. The acronym CAFO represents Confined Animal Feeding Operations and is the method used to produce meat for the world. Factory farming led to specialization which caused genetic narrowing in the breeding stock. Animals were modified to increase their output, leading to the need for more drugs in their production. CAFO dominates meat production across the world, even impacting cattle raising in North America. This method is profitable but comes with additional costs. The environmental impact of transporting the meat and the manure, which is often toxic, leads to environmental degradation. Production of animal products other than meat also has less impact on the environment. The environmental cost of modern meat production. Learn about how modern meat production's dependence on compound feed, mainly corn and soy, contributes to environmental issues. Did you know that the mass production of meat has a significant environmental cost, mainly due to the need for a constant supply of compound feed? This standardized feed consists mainly of carbohydrates enriched with proteins, with corn being the most common source of carbohydrates, and soy being the primary protein source. However, the United States, Brazil, and Argentina primarily produce soy, which has seen a substantial increase in production, with Brazil alone producing 69 million tons annually. The crops grown today are mainly for livestock and not for direct human consumption, since larger mammals are inefficient at converting feed to meat. However, some animals are much more efficient than others in converting feed to body mass, such as pigs, which are the most efficient producers of mammalian meat. What about grass-fed meat? Pastured animals require significant tracts of managed grazing land, which reduces natural biodiversity and often causes overgrazing, high soil erosion, and desertification, making it not as eco-friendly as you might have thought. In summary, this book highlights the environmental impact of modern meat production and the ramifications of animal protein demands. The environmental cost of meat production. Meat consumption is not just an ethical issue, but also an environmental one. Animal agriculture has dramatically reshaped land use and contributed to major environmental problems. Large-scale meat production requires tons of nitrogen to fertilize crops, and lots of energy to produce that nitrogen. This process leads to carbon dioxide being released into the atmosphere, causing deforestation, and methane levels have gone up due to the digestive byproducts of ruminant animals like cows. The production of meat also utilizes a considerable amount of water, and the waste produced has impacted the environment too. Overall, animal production has significantly contributed to diminishing water supplies and global warming. Beyond vegetarianism, the quest for sustainable meat production. As people become more aware of the negative impact of meat production, the question of a sustainable alternative arises. While vegetarianism is an option, it requires effort to ensure a balanced diet and will never replace meat-eating culture. Meat substitutes and lab-produced meat are also unlikely to replace traditional meat entirely. However, the quest for sustainable meat production continues. As global warming and deforestation become more pressing issues, people are becoming increasingly aware of the negative impact of meat production. However, while the idea of going meatless is a tempting solution, it's not a practical one. Vegetarianism is an option, but it can be challenging to ensure a balanced diet as it requires a lot of effort. 1 kilogram of vegetables is not nutritionally comparable to 1 kilogram of meat, making it easier to achieve a balanced diet by eating meat. Besides, meat-eating culture is deeply ingrained in Western society and is unlikely to be replaced by vegetarianism entirely. Meat substitutes and lab-produced meats have been proposed as an alternative solution. However, the sales of meat substitutes are only a tiny percentage compared to the annual meat sales. Also, Asian cultures that traditionally consume meat substitutes are now turning to real meat, further proving the point. While lab-produced meat is a promising alternative, it is still in its nascent stage and highly unlikely to replace traditional meat anytime soon. Producing just 10% of the annual meat production would require 30 million tons of lab-made meat. The book proposes an alternative approach to sustainable meat production that does not require giving up meat entirely. The emphasis is on finding ways to make traditional meat production more environmentally friendly and humane, such as improving animal welfare and reducing transportation burdens. The author also suggests that the quest for sustainable meat production requires a collaborative effort among producers, processors, and consumers. By making small but impactful changes, sustainable meat production can become a reality, allowing us to enjoy our favorite dishes without compromising the environment and animal welfare. Alternatives to meat consumption. Meat consumption is skyrocketing globally, but there are alternative sources of protein, such as dairy and eggs, that can help decrease meat consumption. Even those with lactose intolerance can enjoy some milk, and fish is another excellent option. Just replacing some meat consumption with alternatives like seitan and eggs can curb the increase of meat intake. Rational meat production requires more efficiency and a reduction in waste, and producing more animals with a better grain-to-body mass conversion rate can help. By doing so, we can produce a moderate amount of meat that is sustainable for the environment.
In conclusion, Should We Eat Meat? Takes a holistic look at the crucial role of meat in human evolution, its necessity in our diets, and the challenges of modern meat production's impact on the environment. Vaclav Smil argues that while completely eliminating meat from our diets may not be the best solution, we can adopt a more rational approach to meat production and consumption by exploring other protein sources like dairy, eggs, and fish. Implementing these alternatives uniformly across the globe may help us achieve a more sustainable and environmentally friendly diet, ultimately leading to a brighter future for our planet.